event supports autism.
The Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Dom time. Now, Dom Giordano.
Is there a connection? Shawshank Redemption seems to be on an awful lot this week on AMC. And Shawshank being on, is there any connection to the Great Prison Break with those geniuses running the prisons here in Philadelphia? One is just wondering, given what a masterpiece it is, just walk out there, cut a hole in the fence and walk out. No sirens. My police sources tell me, Dan, they didn't alert people for over 24 hours. There were all sorts of checks, 3 of them, and yet they didn't find anyone missing. There you go. Even Jim Kenney is mad. He said, if people had done their job here, then I wouldn't be mad. Kenney is mad. By the way, in the ongoing situation we were on yesterday early on, that Sherelle Parker wasn't too happy, Dan. I know she wasn't feeling well, but she said to you it was a difficult day. Her campaign staff said, we're running our own campaign. We're not talking about endorsements. Now, wait a minute. They talk about every other endorsement. Is Jim Kenney slick that really he wants Helen Gim to win? So he says he voted for Sherelle Parker.
Ooh,
is that
interesting?
Is that his game? Then he attacks former Mayor Bill Green, saying, what's next? Are we going to exhume Frank Rizzo and Mayor Tate? I mean, why attack Bill Green? Nice guy. You know, he was always a good guy. Kenney attacks him because he's older and he endorsed Alan Dom. What? This misanthrope, this guy is just the sourest of sour. All right, got a couple of things to lead off. Don Jr. will be here at 12:30 today. We'll talk about this book of letters that President Trump published. I was reading the Oprah letter last night. It's handwritten to President Trump.
Ooh.
Jimmy Matthews, President Trump, write that one down.
Former President Trump. Former.
And Don Jr. feels he's been banned from Fox News Channel. So we'll have a lot to talk about. That's at 12:30. And Dan, where can people view all this in addition to listening?
Yeah, head on over to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Again, that's youtube.com/@1210WPHT, where you can see Dom live. Looking great today, Dom.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Ro approved yesterday. Thank you. And I think she's buying me those shoes that you and I have been talking about for Father's Day coming up.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, but she keeps on asking for links to all kinds of things.
I see a post-debate glow on
your
face
Oh,
today.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it was tremendous. It's a ravioli, too. We'll be telling you more about it, but and tomorrow we'll be sampling some of it. Dan will be anyhow. The lobster ravioli and the crab ravioli from Captain Chucky's in Vera Pasta. Sad to say, I couldn't take one for the team. We finished them all last night. And there were
They're
quite a
all
lot
good.
in
We
there.
need to hold
So,
ourselves back from finishing.
yeah,
them.
Dan will
Yeah,
have to
they're really
provide
good.
that. All right, a couple of things, though. King Philip Murphy. What can you say about this guy? He's talking to a crowd. It's only a brief cut about a taxpayer-funded school development project. I think it's a middle school in a town that borders on New York City that's in Jersey. And he wants to take credit for it. So I think it's $65 million. Listen to what Murphy tells the crowd. Make sure you remember, who is it that got this money?
Tell him Murphy said the following: "It's my money, and that's how it's going to be spent."
Oh,
Oh, I guess Madam, what is it, Madam Kim? There you go. Now, what is the hairdresser's name? It's Miss Kim.
Mrs. Kim.
Miss Kim approved of that. The hair was feeling particularly good with Murphy.
It's my money, and that's how it's going to be spent.
But I want to talk about how far this goes, and I want to put them on the map, Dan. I put them on the map before. Now, the Philadelphia Inquirer has a big editorial day. One of my friends over at Delaware Valley Journal said it over, attacking the Central Bucks School District and saying, with the primary coming up, et cetera, who they ought to vote for. And they say it's all a national right-wing conspiracy to ban books and kids, et cetera. What would the Inquirer say about what I'm ready to tell you about? This from the National Review, got on their radar screen. Now, I happen to think Norristown is one of the worst school districts in our area. Could I say that Norristown is worse than Philadelphia academically? Man, boy, that would be a battle. If you put me under the lights beaming down on me, worse than Philadelphia. They were one of the worst during the pandemic. I'm looking at the Mid-Region Pennsylvania State Education Association head speaking at a Norristown area school district I'm Here press conference. So this is the PSEA too. They're taking an aggressive step toward intensifying the cultural war battle over gender ideology in the state's public schools. In late April, the Norristown area school district held a press conference in which they gave out the I'm Here badges among staff. Now, this is I'm Here means you're gay or transgendered or something like that. Among the vivid examples they use is a link to the Teen Health Source website, which includes how-to advice for sex acts.
Wait, what?
How-to advice
How old are
for
these kids?
sex acts. They could be 7th or 8th grade or freshmen.
So now we're instructing kids on how to have sex.
Right. And I can't even read some of the stuff. Now, the National
going
Review
on?
published this. Let me see if I can give people a sense as how to sex acts. For a certain kind of sex, make sure the person being is relaxed. And use lots of, when engaging in bondage, it prudently advises
Hold on.
teens.
Did you say person being? Was that a mistake on your part? Or is that how it's written there?
The person being blank.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
okay,
Yeah, I just
okay.
want you to fill the
No,
blank,
I
yeah.
just didn't know if human
Yeah.
was off the table yet because
Oh,
it has
no,
man
that's
written
right.
into it.
No, but when
So
engaging
human
in
being, person
when
being.
engaging in bondage, it prudently advises teens make sure that the
Wait,
ties
no,
don't cut off
No.
blood to any part of the body.
there are instructions on bondage.
But beyond bondage advice
What?
are guides on how to organize like a sex worker.
Hold on. What do you mean organized like a sex worker? Is there any more information on that?
Bring it up maybe if you can in there, Dan. I didn't click that
You're
link.
teaching
It
like
said-
people
yeah.
how to charge for.
It says how to organize like a sex worker. Yes. I'm not sure if that means get paid for it or what it
That's
means. Yeah.
ridiculous. Wow.
The superintendent repeatedly claimed the badges given out were markers of safety for certain students. The president of the PSEA Mideastern region put the issue in harsh, hyperbolic terms. This isn't just about supporting teenagers. This is about life and death, about suicidal rates among transgender and non-binary youth. The I'm Here website says, if you're not a safe person or do not support LGBTQ plus youth or issues, please do not wear or display the I'm Here badge. It's stunning. Now, my point, aside from how far this goes, bondage, sex workers, various forms of sex. I mean, I can't read that on the air. I can hint at it, but this is what they're promoting. And yet academically, they suck. And they always will, and they have, and they will again in the future. And during the pandemic, they were one of the worst as far as saying, well, let's just stay home. So when a national publication like National Review puts this on the radar screen, their headline is "The Cultural War Aggression of a Teachers Union," the PSEA and the Norristown School District. Now, they say that it's yet to be seen if the activism of the PSEA and its allies will spark similar outrage among Norristown parents, an increasingly blue suburb of Philadelphia. If it does, one can be sure they'll be called aggressors, if not dangerous. The PSA is actively injecting left-wing ideology into schools, even pushing staff to wear a controversial symbol on their bodies. How about a dunce cap, given the academic ratings? What else should the teachers at Norristown wear, given this nonsense? Maybe they ought to come in bondage and explain that to the students. Wow. Do you see any link to how to organize like a sex
I'm
worker?
perusing the website right now, and it's a really badly put together website. It's really unprofessional, and it looks like there are multiple school districts, co-branded partners on it.
Right.
California Teachers Association's another one, Delaware State Education Association. I actually found an article of this happening in Ohio with the same website that's directed these QR codes on the badges direct to this website that have the how-to instruction. They also have some information about abortion, which they describe as the removal of, quote, pregnancy tissue.
There we go. Yes. And I have to look up during the break, or maybe I don't feel like anymore, the math scores and the reading and English scores. How many geniuses are coming out of the Norristown School District? We would love to have them come on. They can tell us, when they're done polishing their badges, when they're done saying, yeah, kid, would you like to be a sex worker someday? Hey, how about, Dan, career night, they bring in a sex worker. That would seem to be a novel idea, or at least a bondage expert. This is National Review, too. This isn't some tabloid. It's not the New York Post. It's National Review saying, wow. I don't even think they know. I can tell by this article. They don't know how bad Norristown is, academically, et cetera. Maybe a little bit of concentration on that might be more in order. All right, let me give you the side question. Don Jr. here today at 12:30. David O. at 1 o'clock. Coming up, this race over in Drexel Hill, Delaware County, takes an unusual turn that Democrats are praying they can win on the issue of abortion, of course, in the suburbs. But the woman who's a Republican, who should be on day and tomorrow or the next day, I think, says she's pro-choice, the Republican. And guess what? I have no problem. As long as we win that seat and we start to turn things around, that's what I want. And it would. They'd have the majority if they can get this seat. All right, side question. We got this from Reddit and Dan, sort of a pet peeve, but not a pet peeve. Yesterday was Lost Sock Day. Everybody's had that type of thing. I just took stuff out a couple days ago, and suddenly there was only one.
Dude, I go through socks like you don't even know. Maze has to buy me new socks. It feels like once every 2 months, maybe.
Yeah,
because I just gone through them all, and there's some unmatching socks. And
so we're looking for a minor inconvenience, but something that maybe happens fairly frequently. And we were talking after the show about this. I'm taking the one. I don't get it with other pants, but with jeans. The zipper, the thing that zips up and down, it doesn't stick. It gets stuck
on the bottom.
In the bottom. Yes.
It's the worst when you're using the bathroom at work. Like when you're at home and it gets stuck and you get frustrated and you can't get it up, you can just throw on a different pair of pants. But when you're in the bathroom at work, you don't want to come out with the fly down.
I sometimes have to use a fork.
Really?
To get the thing out of there.
So you go out to the kitchen with your fly down?
No, not
grab
here.
a fork.
Thank God it hasn't happened here. Here's going to be a big problem. Can somebody bring me a fork, please? Yes. Just put it in there.
Text, hey, Dan, can you bring a fork in the bathroom?
Yeah, that's the worst one for me. I don't care if it's plastic or metal. Bring a fork. Stick a fork in it. All right, what's yours, Dan?
One that happened to me today is when you're almost all the way to work and you realize you've forgotten something that's incredibly necessary for work, and you have to decide
Ravioli,
then
yes.
whether to go back and get it or bring it in, and that happened to me today with the ravioli. So,
Maybe a good decision on your part.
but I do have another great one just to
Okay.
get people thinking a little bit. When you're going to, let's use CVS for example, or
Right.
Walgreens, and they have the self-service checkout line,
Right.
and you scan your thing, and then it says, please put the item into the bagging area, right?
Yep.
And you don't do it in enough time, and then you finally set it down, and it says unexpected item in the bagging area. Please remove this item before continuing. And it needs a store clerk to unlock it. You have to go get the store clerk, rinse and repeat all over again. You set it down, you scan it. It says you need to go into the bagging area. You put it in the bagging area. It says unexpected item in the bagging area. Incredibly infuriating.
I
John.
love that language too. The unexpected. Like, what does that unexpected?
You just told me to put it in the bagging area.
Yeah, there's nitroglycerin, unexpected nitroglycerin in the baggage area. You can't continue. All right, 855-839-1210. That's what we're looking for. Be creative, be a little bit outside the box. In addition to that, this Norristown School District. I mean, can you imagine wearing badges around now? And in addition to that, the badges, the code takes you to this website. You can look it up. I mean, if Norristown were turning out Rhodes Scholars academically, but the PSEA right there, and any parent that says anything, they want kids to die. That's what it's about.
It's ipso facto over on youtube.com/@1210WPHT as normal. A conversation going on with the community that's kind of grown over there. Ipso writes, Norristown is not worse than Philly, but definitely not far behind. I agree. It's really bad. Growing up, we kind of just figured it out on our own as we went.
Norristown graduate. Okay. The Texas shooter, the one over the weekend, praised the trans Nashville killer, Audrey Hale. Why? I'll explain. And we still have not gotten that manifesto, even though we have all the social media you could want on the Texas shooter. 855-839-1210. AT&T, Verizon Wireless. You just push pound 1210. Tom Giordano Show. So, National Lost Socks Day, side question. Hit us with something that is one of those annoyances that happens, inconvenience, fairly frequently. I'm looking at the top candidates according to this polling outfit that we use at this point for the vice presidency. I assume this is on a Trump ticket. They have the favorite, 4 females, even though I don't see this happening. Carrie Lake, I don't see Trump doing that, is at plus 225. Nikki Haley, 275. Kristi Noem, 650. Marjorie Taylor Greene, 800. Trump's not going to do Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's not going to be, no. Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Scott, plus 1,200. Tulsi Gabbard, plus 1,400. And Ron DeSantis, plus 2,000. Let's see. Ivanka at 2,800. There you go.
You think that's possible? Like, you
No,
think a family member runs
no.
with him? No.
No, and I don't see Trump, all this Nikki Haley stuff forever during the campaign. I don't see that happening in the end. It's wide open. It depends upon all kinds of events.
Is there a gut feeling for you, leaning one way or the other, that you think someone will be his VP?
It's hard to say. I just don't see Carrie Lake. I don't think Trump wants all that drama. I don't see it.
Yeah.
That's why he chose Mike Pence in the end.
So in the VP seat, Carrie Lake is, in her own way, somewhat of an instigator, a controversial voice. Right. Do you think his vice president needs to be Mike Pence was a very vanilla individual.
Right.
Do you think he needs to go that direction again? So he is the, for lack of a better term, the aggressive candidate where he has.
He will be anyhow.
Okay.
That's what he's going to do.
But do you think it's beneficial to double down on the aggressiveness?
No.
Or do you think he needs a counter that's
I think he needs a bit of a counter.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's a crapshoot. Could be anything
The reason why I'm digging here is that counter to the more, aggressive style of politics would be somebody like a Tim Scott.
I love Tim Scott. That's one of the top people that I think should be under consideration. He would be murderous against Kamala Harris. Oh, yeah. God. Caught in the Congress. I just want to hear that. Good night, everybody. All right. Now, I mentioned this big race. It's heating up, and we hope to have Katie Ford on. You have to understand the importance. It's so important over in Delaware County. It means who will control the House. That Josh Shapiro is trotting out commercial after commercial, abortion, abortion, abortion. So what I'm going to be looking at on May 16th is the turnout really, really high for that state race over in Delaware County. Are they young women again coming out? They hear the, abortion. Where do we go to sign up? And in this, the two candidates, Katie Ford, the Republican, in the debate, said that she is not someone. She says this: my opponent has just enacted a huge $100,000 campaign to smear me in this issue. And if you had just asked on it, I would tell you, number one, I also believe it's a woman's right to choose. So here's the question I have. Do you support that then on the Republican side? That's what this candidate is. Now, I would rather have someone who takes a more pro-life stance than Katie Ford does, but that's not going to dissuade me here in getting over the finish line with this. And it might be an interesting counter. Now, Katie Ford says that, but Democrats are hell-bent. They're spending a huge amount of money, and how are they going about it? Are they touting what this other woman on the Democrat side out in Delaware County would do for citizens there or the state? No. They're saying abortion, 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 abortion. It's sickening. This is all they have. But here we go again. And then you have the Republican candidate saying she's pro-choice. She's not saying a line like Dr. Oz did. Yeah, it should be the woman or doctor and public officials. She's saying, no, clearly a woman has a right to choose. Now, I don't know, Dan, until we get her on. I think she says she's not in favor of a constitutional amendment around abortion, even if elected. But I think she is for some restrictions. And that's what I'd like to know. And it's going to be interesting to see, what do people out there hear? Do they hear Josh Shapiro, who just wakes up every day, says abortion, 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 but I'm not a radical? Sure you are. You are radical on this. The entire Democrat Party is. There's no compromise, no reaching any kind of agreement. Will that be what wins here? Will that win the day? Is that enough? If they spend enough and they say the opponent wants to take away, under any circumstance, your right to get an abortion. So Katie Ford, the direct quote is, I support a woman's right to choose. Notice she doesn't say, I support X, except for rape, incest, life of the mother. She says right to choose. And she's done this in a debate. She said it publicly. Is that enough for a Republican? It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens there. And you know the consequence? The consequence is whoever wins there, one way or another, is going to give control of the House, the Assembly, in Harrisburg to their party. That's how big it is. Yes.
Producer note, 12:30 Friday.
Oh, 12:30 Friday.
Katie
Good.
Ford will be with us.
All right, so a lot to talk about here. And look, I don't have any problem that that's their position. I'm asking you if you do. Is that the issue here? Not to me, it's not. There's a million other things they're cooking up that are the issue. I'd love to get your response, too, to the Norristown School District. And Dan, feel free to invite the PSEA on. Wearing badges now, pointing kids to websites with stuff I can't say on the air. I mean, I let you fill in the blanks. I'll put it up on the line. It's amazing what they're advising. I kind of work like a sex worker. Well, what do you mean? Can you be more explicit about that? But get the PSEA guy on. Well, what are you telling them to do there? All right. You sound dangerous, Giordano. People are going to die because you can't tell kids about bondage. Bondage. Norristown School District. National news. My goodness. That's what they're up to there. All right. Side question 2. Hit us with something that is an inconvenience, and it may come up a good number of times. As far as the Texas shooter in Allen, Texas, the shooter there, Mr. Garcia, praised Audrey Hale on social media. He describes himself as an Hispanic neo-Nazi, which seems to be a bit of a contradiction, but the media likes it for now. And he tweeted out that he was inspired by this shooter in Nashville who sent such an outstanding number. She broke the ER barrier, emergency room barrier, with a decent shooting. That's what he said about the trans shooter. So how is it we're able to so quickly find all these things out about Garcia? Well, because even though he's Hispanic, he plays into the whole white supremacy thing. So the material's out there. The trans woman, though, we're still not anywhere near that. I don't know if we're ever going to get what her manifesto said, what she was reacting to. Why was she killing people at this Christian school? We all know what it is. Why can't we see it in print? Well, the FBI is still analyzing it. What does their analysis tell them? It doesn't tell them anything more than they knew then. They just want us to forget about it. All right, so we got Don Trump Jr., and then after that, there's a new war on appliances. All right, I'll tell you what appliance now the Biden administration is going to go after. All right. And it's one that, boy, doing what they would do would really result, I think, particularly in restaurants, but maybe even in the home, of people being really upset with this. They want a certain level of performance. All right, Don Trump Jr. in the On Deck Circle, a lot to talk about here. If you're tired of paying too much, Rescue Natural Supplements are rolling back prices to 2013 on top of Memorial savings all month long. That's right. For the entire month of May, you can buy 2 products, get 1 free, or buy 3 products and get 2 free on every single Rescue supplement. Combine decade-old rollback prices with free bottles for huge savings. Stack up on all your favorites. 1250 omegas, cholesterol supporters, probiotic, and brand new health gummies are all in the sale. To order, call 826-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com. res-q.com. Don't miss out on this opportunity to save really big, because Rescue has over 50 products to target all your health goals, and everything is on sale. Rollback prices, memorial deals start now and last through the end of the month. Go to res-q.com, res-q.com.
We are noticing clouds moving across most of our area. A few sprinkles expected as we go throughout the day across Philadelphia, but I do think mainly those showers will stay west and south of the city. 68 degrees, close to 70 in a couple of spots. Our high temperature for this afternoon. Expect temperatures to drop near 48 heading into tonight, with clouds exiting the region. And tomorrow we're seeing some sunshine. Expect a high of 71, and we're climbing up to near 80 with abundant sunshine Thursday afternoon. I'm NBC 10 for Still Earth meteorologist Marvin Gomez.
All right, big issues, big guest. I'm Giordano Show. Donald Trump Jr. Don Jr. here in his second. He now runs 45books.com, 45books.com. One of the books, I have some of the choice letters in front of me, are letters to President Trump, including one handwritten by Oprah Winfrey.
Ooh.
Donald, I reviewed the book excerpt. I have to tell you, your comments made me a little weepy. It's one thing to say and live a life of integrity, still another to have people like yourself notice. Thank you, Oprah.
Runs very counter to what we've heard since.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Don Jr. on Talk Radio 1210. Don, welcome back to Philadelphia. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you guys. Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you turn yourself into a Republican. You know, when you put that little R by your name and you come out politically, it's amazing how quickly those tunes change. So, yeah, it was funny. We put together that book, Letters to Trump. I started a publishing company with a friend, and we just saw all the censorship going on in publishing, just like it's going on in tech, and we have to build our own kind of counter economy to the insanity that's going on. And so we did that in publishing. And since we're moving down to Florida and we've been going through it, cleaning up all these files, I found this like archive of these old letters, you know, American presidents, both sides of the aisle, people like Oprah, people like Alec Baldwin, royalty. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. These people thought very highly of Donald Trump. And, that tune has changed. Almost 180, if not 180 on roids. And, I was like, we got to put this out there just so people understand just how hypocritical all these people are, just how phony, they all are and how they really felt. And I think it's sort of just indicative of what's going on in this world. We see it every day. People are just lying, chasing clout, going with whatever the next big thing is. And, they've bastardized their core values for the sake of wokeness and for the sake of some of the nonsense that's going on there. So I thought it was important for people to see. And there's some pretty historical gems in there.
Oh, the letter from, I won't say it till the end here. I did not send Donald. Donald. I did not see the program, but Blank told me that you were great on the Donahue show. As you can imagine, she's an expert on politics. She predicts that whenever you decide to run for office, you will be a winner. With warm regards, Richard Milhouse Nixon. Who knew politics?
Yeah, I'd say he had a pretty good understanding of politics. And again, sort of like what they've done to Trump. I mean, Nixon, the people who have rewritten the history books, they don't tell you all the good things that he did. They don't tell you that he was reelected in the largest landslide in the history of American politics because of his policies. Now, the deep state worked really hard to get him, and it sounds sort of similar. They didn't get Trump, but they continue to try even 7 years later, even after all the nonsense, even after everything we've seen. But yeah, I think that was a pretty amazing letter. He had a lot of back and forth with Richard Nixon and his family, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Now, I asked our mutual friend, Don, to see if we could get you on about the book, the publishing. But I saw something out there that said you were talking about you haven't been on Fox News Channel for 9 months. What's your sense of why that is the case? You're an excellent guest to have on, name recognition alone, in addition to everything else. Why wouldn't Fox have you on?
Well, listen, it seems like there's a narrative there. I hadn't been on for a long time, even right into midterms. When I stopped getting on there, it was basically when I was actually, before my father announced and before some of these other candidates announced, and I was actually polling second or third in the 2024 race myself, let alone even with my father in it, I was still, tied for second or sometimes third for the 2024 Republican nomination, which was pretty amazing. I was like, wow, I used to be on, 4 or 5 times a week, and I haven't even gotten a call. So it just feels like, there could have been a narrative there they want to change, and as evidenced perhaps by what went on in the last week and all that. So. It's we're up against a lot, as we always are, but I think the American people are now finally understanding exactly what's going on. They're seeing the disasters of the Biden administration. This was the guy that was going to save us from World War III, because Trump was going to get us into World War III. Remember that one? How's that working out?
Exactly.
Joe Biden was going to fix the economy, which was roaring and is now a disaster. Inflation was not a thing, and Joe Biden was going to be the voice of reason, and now we got inflation through the roof and interest rates going crazy and banks are collapsing. That's what we get in the name of, some sort of woke. I don't even know what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, all they had to do was leave it alone, but they're not capable of doing that, and they don't want someone in there. It's really about the Uniparty, guys. There's sort of the DC establishment. And with the power that they wield and the money that they make, it doesn't really benefit the American people. But if you're a threat to that, they are powerful. They are going to bite back. They are going to fight back. And unfortunately, their will is at odds with the American voting public and the American people. But they got a lot of power. And that's why all these unelected officials are able to do the things that they did, like the Hunter Biden letter, like Russian disinformation.
Let's talk about Hunter Biden. I mean, the comparison of the scrutiny you and your brother get, but principally you. This could be Hunter Biden week, though. Tomorrow, Comer is supposed to release stuff. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're finally going to see some degree of justice here?
Listen, I see what, I can almost see, I've been in the room now. I've been a fly on the wall. They tried doing it to me for a couple of years, for treason, right? A crime punishable by death, just so we understand, where I was. And you see the protection of this guy who's a, 51, CIA operative, say it's Russian disinformation. Turns out it wasn't. They just wanted Joe Biden to win. They've said that in congressional testimony, and yet they still have their security clearances. They still have this. I mean, Hunter Biden's a certifiable scumbag. I mean, he's a crackhead. The terrible things that are on that laptop, if I did any one of the hundreds of things that are in there, it would be disqualifying to me and my father, and rightfully so. But he's been protected by the mainstream media, by big tech, by the intelligence community, and the guys are just, again, a certifiable POS. It's sort of amazing. So, but it seems like what they're trying to do now is they're going to maybe hit him with like the least of the charges, just to be able to get people off the trail of the real corruption. You see that now. I mean, they have whistleblowers saying that Joe Biden was doing pay-to-play for policy while VP. I'm like, but they knew in 18, and the DOJ knew in 18. So this is before he was even a candidate for the Democratic nomination. And they knew, and they let him do it anyway because it didn't matter, because they knew that that would be the path of least resistance for them, for their future. That's why we're so soft on China, because they're all on the payroll. You know, the upper echelon of our government are literally all on the payroll of our biggest enemy, as far as I'm concerned. And that's evidenced by every position that they've taken, which has been bad for America
now, Don,
and great for China.
Would you ever consider running for office? Could we have another Trump out there?
Oh God, you never know. Right now, there's one that I'm working for hard, and I'm out there every day. It was easier to be a real estate developer from New York. I was invited to the cool person parties, and I didn't take the slings and arrows, and I certainly wasn't, being tried for treason to crime punishable by death and all this stuff. But I'm out there still fighting, and if I can help other guys, and if I can help create a bench for the future of the Republican Party, maybe one day I'd run. But you also have to want the day job. Right now, I'm not sure I want that, but I'm out there every day. I got the podcast on Rumble talking about what's going on, because we're not getting the real story about what's going on from the mainstream media. Big tech is censoring it. Mainstream media refuses to talk about it. So, there's very few voices that actually have the guts to take on that establishment. I mean, today's journalists, they're just regime propagandists. They don't do journalism. What's the narrative? And we will blindly run with that. I mean, it's a disgrace to the profession. Walter Cronkite should be rolling over in his grave based on the way the clowns in the mainstream media are behaving, but it is what it is.
Hey, Don,
I continue to be a voice out there.
Tucker Carlson, what can give us your insight? You got to know something more than I might know. O'Reilly's my only source there. You got better sources with Tucker. What do you think happens there? What do you hope happens?
Well, I imagine you'll hear some big stuff fairly shortly, about what Tucker is going to do. And I think it'll be great. And I think, again, he's an incredible voice of reason. He's a voice, that can probably reach across the aisles. He's a voice that will call out the nonsense on the conservative side as well as the other side. And so, those kind of voices are rare these days. It's a once in a generation talent right now, because everyone's so, the partisan hackery is so strong. So, yeah, I imagine you'll hear a lot from Tucker in the very near future.
Don, I want to go back to the publishing outfit, though. 45books.com. You got a lot of things. There's a Carrie Lake book. There's President Trump's book, The Letters. What are you looking to do with this in the future? Any more Trump books coming our way?
Well, we'll do some stuff. It started during COVID, right? All the publishing houses started basically censoring mainstream conservative thought. We had congressmen that were writing books. Yeah, we won't publish that. Like, keep your upfront. We're just not going to let you say these things because we don't want it. They were out there actively trying to subvert conservative thought. And I don't mean like stuff that was out there on the lunatic fringe. I mean like just mainstream conservative thought, and they were dumbing it down. And so it was COVID and we were locked up at home, and I was writing my second book, and they're going to my publisher, and I had a New York Times #1 bestseller before that, and they're like, well, we'll give you a little bit more, but not much. I'm like, so what are you doing exactly? They're like, well, it's for marketing. I go, yeah, but I did all our marketing. And so I just said, why don't we try to do it ourselves? We had another huge success. It was #1 on Barnes & Noble and #1 on Amazon. New York Times wouldn't look at it. So it would have been probably #1 on New York Times as well, but they wouldn't even look at it. So, they didn't like the threat to, again, the medium that they controlled. And so we started publishing these books for people. We have a Carrie Lake book coming out, Marjorie Taylor Greene. We have Judge Jeanine Pirro. We're doing her book, obviously a Trump book right now. We'll do my next book, another Charlie Kirk book. So people who are sort of part of that MAGA movement, I think we've become sort of the clearinghouse for them, because we're going to allow them to actually use free speech. We understand how to get it out there, how to promote it well. And we're not enriching those who hate your guts. I mean, that's what the liberal publishing has. Is sure, they make a lot of money off conservative books, and then they use it and give that money to fund lunatics whose books will never earn out. But they're going to make sure that voice is out there, but not the conservative one. And that doesn't work. That's not a game we should be playing.
45books.com. I mean, this is a big, big deal, a big iron in the fire. Don Jr., thank you. Stay well, and please come back anytime that you'd like to talk. We're not like Fox News. You're welcome a few times a week if you like.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right, Don Trump Jr. here on Talk Radio 1210. Dan, should I tell him some of the questions suggested?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dan wanted to know, does he feel Succession is about his family? See, I don't know the show well enough to know whether
Yeah.
that be seen as a negative or not. I know the broad plot lines. Yeah.
I mean, the way to phrase it would be, hey, you know, a lot of the online media suggests that the popularity of Succession is because it touches close to home to the last election, and people suggest that it's about your family. Do you watch Succession, and do you find it to be about your family?
I wish I had. All right, I'll put that down the next time.
And then my other question is someone that's completely under the public eye at all times, does he ever get a chance to just kind of let his hair down and cut loose?
I was interested in his Hunter Biden comments. Could they be more direct? This guy Comer better deliver something tomorrow with the tease that's out there. He's got big stuff. Don't DOJ, don't indict him before I get done tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see what he says tomorrow. All right, 855-839-1210. Don't forget the side question. That minor inconvenience, it might happen, though, or fairly regular. It's so annoying that it just drives you nuts. That's what we're looking for today. And give me your reaction to Donald Trump. This Norristown School District, I got to say, even for Norristown and the PSEA, wow. Sending wearing biz that can help kids be sent to the Teen Health website, which includes how-to advice for various sex acts, various forms of sex, including bondage, organized like a sex worker. Wow, man, this superintendent over there, Dan, that would be an hour. That's reading, writing, and completely reason gone mad. All right, 855-839-1210. You can get on board to give us your reaction.
Hey, I got a great side question answer.
Yes.
What's a horrible minor inconvenience?
Yes.
Ellen Sticky Fingers writes, and when you drop the dryer lint ball from about 1 inch above the trash can, and for some reason you always get a gust of wind and it completely misses, and you got to put it in again.
That's a good one. That's the type of thing we're looking for. These are relatively minor. You know, there are certain home maintenance chores we'd all rather not do. We've told you one of the biggest, repainting the exterior of your home every 5 years. Who wants to do that? Well, there's an incredible permanent solution to that problem. Rhino Shield. Now, Rhino Shield looks like paint, goes on like paint, but it never chips, cracks, or fades. It's ceramic coating. It's guaranteed for life. You never have to paint again. Local Rhino Shield owner, John Gilgee, great guy, friend of the program. I'm impressed with both the product and the company. Perfect for any surface. You get the beauty of fresh paint and the maintenance of vinyl. Even insulate your home. 25-year guarantee you get. You can transfer that if you sell your home. And John meets with as many homeowners as he can himself, and they have helped literally tons and tons of my listeners upgrade the look and quality of their home. Call him right now. He's offering 10% off for a limited time to my listeners. Visit myrhinoshield.com or 844-RHINO-99, 844-RHINO-99. Dom Giordano show. I thought you were going to interrupt me there, Dan.
Well,
You had
I wasn't
something.
going to lead off. I
Okay,
wanted you to
okay,
bump
yeah,
that, you
okay.
know. But over on Twitter, Dom, we got a great tweet from Jerry. She says, Dom, yesterday, great job on the debate. That's me adding on there. I thought you did a fantastic job. But Jerry writes, after listening to the debate with the Philadelphia mayoral candidates, I believe that you, Dom Giordano, should host a national debate for the DNC or the RNC. You allowed the candidates equal time. You didn't interrupt, and your questions were spot on. Have Dan call Rana to plead your case. Well done, Dom.
Well, get on that. Put Jim in there behind the wheel there for a second, and you give Rana a call. There you go.
So let me ask you, if you had the choice between a DNC debate, an RNC debate, or a general election debate, which one would you most like to moderate?
Well, I couldn't do the general election. That would
No?
be fancy. Well, I mean, come on.
Well, I'm
dude.
just saying in a
bias.
perfect utopia.
Oh, in a perfect utopia. Well, I would say the RNC because I've done that before, and I'm pretty tough on the candidates because I want the Republican to win. So they got to go through. I don't mean unreasonably, but we're going to see what the weakness is before they get at it.
Yeah.
So I'd say, the DNC debate, particularly if there were 10 or 12 of them, you're out of order. No, you're out of order.
So in case you missed it, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, there is a fully concise, it's about an hour-long debate with Dom. And if you missed yesterday's debate, Dom oftentimes, when we play back clips of debates, he gets very heated at the moderator and talks down because they don't know how to control the candidates and get the answers that they deserve out of it. So Dom finally put his money where his mouth is. And yesterday, I think you've proven to yourself that when you talk bad about these moderators not being able to control debates or not allowing the actual information to come out, we didn't have a timer. We just let Dom do his thing. And again, I hate to blow smoke up the hosts, but I think he did a fantastic job at proving that when you have a good moderator, the information that is needed to get out there to the voters does indeed get out there.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's all less is more is the first rule. You cannot, damn, you know how I get when you're talking about the final 3 presidential debates, and in the middle of it, they start talking about South Korea or something.
Yep.
No, you just cannot shove everything in. You got to come up in your own mind. What is the big point between these 2 individuals, or if there are 3? And then when you arrive at that moment, they start going back and forth. You get them going back and forth. Even if it's not perfect, let it go. That's when things get revealed. That's when people can see the difference between the 2.
And just a comment again, youtube.com/@1210WPHT in case you missed that. And coming up at 2:30, we'll be live again on youtube.com/@1210WPHT. And right here, obviously, on the Odyssey app, we're 1210WPHT with Republican mayoral candidate David O.
All right, I want to give people a shot at this, Dan. And I don't know. I don't know this guy. I just see headline: pro-Trump pundit test out new line of attack between Trump and DeSantis. And we'll get yours after the break in mine. And it says, no one would have stormed the Capitol on January 6th for Ron DeSantis. In other words, with Trump, the juices are going to flow. But I don't know if storming the Capitol is the angle you use. You tell me otherwise. Do you like that kind of campaign?
I don't know.
Hey, Ron, no one will be storming the Capitol for you. And DeSantis is going to say, yeah, that's true. All right, we'll play with that a little bit. And thanks for noticing on the debate, though, because I really think these debates could be a lot better. Less is more. Let the candidates go at each other. I don't mean crazy, but when they're differentiating themselves, don't say, your time is up. You just can't do that. We got to move on to another question. What's so important about these other questions?
What did I tell you guys at the beginning? No booing or hissing.
Having him for the governor's debate between Governor Wolf and the trash guy, remember? You know what? I had him for a debate, Dan, against a Republican. He said, well, Dom and I can go and shack up in a room right now. And what would that mean? And I'm looking like, okay, we've arrived at an interesting point here. Rose in the audience going, what the hell is going on? All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210.